Hi there guys. So today we're going to paint a cute little Christmas tree card, and I am using my own paper. I talked about that in a previous video. I can link that in the description below so you can go back and watch that one with a little cute snow scene. So I've got my paper that I've cut to a 10 by 7, making sure I left a deckled edge and the edges are clean. So I haven't folded it yet, but we're going to fold it right in half and get it nice and even using a butter knife. Just going to create that fold. And we can kind of work it back and forth a little bit. Get it to where it might be a little bit flatter. Then I'm going to get my ruler, maybe. Get my ruler. I'm going to mark off halfway very lightly so I can see. I want my tree to be centered. So this is 5, so we're going to put a mark at the 2.5 spot. And I'll come up here and do the same. And when I say lightly, I mean barely visible, because you want this to be easy to erase. It's just a guideline. So I've got a very light pencil line. And then I'm going to mark off, again, trying to stay level so it's not crooked at the bottom. I've got 1.25 inches on this side. And we're gonna, no, 1.75 inches, I'm so sorry, 1.75 inches on either side to give us a nice wide base. And then we're gonna come from the end of that line, and you could go as high as you want, but I would not come up to the tippy top of the card. I'm going to come down maybe like 1 inch from the top and draw a very fine line there. And a very fine line here. Okay. That is done. Now with this Scotch Artist Tape for Curves, I found this like in a clearance bin at the arts or at the fabric shop, but you can find this online. You can get Artist Tape for Curves on Amazon. A lot of people use it for card detailing. It's really fun to use. So grabbing a pair of scissors, I'm going to make sure that this is long enough to go all the way across that widest part. And I'm going to start just a little tiny bit up from the bottom there and give it a little bit of a curve. And flatten it out. Not necessary, but you can trim that if you want. And then we're going to continue up the tree, alternating which side is low and which side is high. So this time we're going to start just above that other piece of tape. Give myself a little more. And we're going to curve it up and continue on up the tree in the same way. Okay, so we've laid this out. I want to make sure these are nice and flat because I don't want my paint to seep under there. I want a nice clean edge when it comes time to peel that up. So nice and flat on that. And then I have some tape that I learned about from an artist friend. This is called NIckle, and it's a drafting tape, I believe. But it's really nice because, like, you can tape off big areas, and if I came over the top of the line, I could see through it. So I use this sometimes to mask off the big areas. So I'll mask off the area and then I can cut around whatever it is very carefully with a sharp blade, X-Acto knife or whatever. So I'm just going to come along the shape of the tree here with my NIckle. And that's going to give me a very nice, clean, crisp line. See how transparent that is? See right through it. Okay, so I've got, basically I have it taped down because of the NIckle. I don't need to add any more tape. I might just straighten it out a little bit though, being a little OCD about that kind of stuff. So taped it down, and then we're going to grab some paint. Alrighty, so the colors that I have chosen to put on my palette and dip into, perhaps, could be that they don't get used, but I'm going to put them out there. Got leaf green. Mostly I have Daniel Smith colors. There's a couple of Holbein here. These three are Holbein. I'll list the colors and the links in the description below, but I've got leaf green, phthalo green. These are both really bright, vibrant. Fuschite is a Primatech color. It is granulating and it's got a nice shimmer to it. Cobalt teal blue, ultramarine turquoise, NIckle yellow, Duochrome, Saguaro, see, I can't pronounce it. I try. Saguaro green, Saguaro, I think it is. Jeez, I'm going to have to look it up again. Silver, permanent white gouache. If you don't have that, you can use titanium white. It's opaque. It's a brilliant white. It's not as opaque as gouache, so just be aware of that. It doesn't cover quite as well as the gouache does, and I'm going to be splattering that. So depending on the moisture level on the paper, this will stand out more than the titanium white. So just be aware of that. If you're using titanium white, it's going to be a little less brilliant, even though it's brilliant. And Chinese white, if you're wondering about that, it has an undertone of blue and it's not as opaque, so it's going to kind of disappear a little bit more. With that being said, let me load up my palette and we'll get started painting. So we will start with clean water. Also, I have to mention I have a paper towel on this side just so I can protect the paper there. I don't want the back side of my card being messed up, so I made sure to protect it. Clean paper towel. I'm gonna go with, let's see, I think I'll grab a number 6, will be plenty big. And this is a long round. It's not going to make much of a difference whether it's a regular round or a long round, but I do like the tip on this. It's kind of fun to come up on the end of the brush with, you know, don't grip it down low, but just give yourself a little loose grip on it. But we're going to just start with water and just randomly grabbing the colors. I want some of this beautiful turquoise in there. Grab some of that cobalt teal. It's a little sticky. Get it loosened up there. And we're just going to put that here and there. Just these really pretty bright colors. Let's play with adding this Fuschite in here and there. It's not going to look hugely different, but once it dries and settles, those colors are going to separate and you're going to get the shimmer. Actually, let's get thicker with this one. And I'm just using the tip of my brush, giving it some fun little movement. Got some blue there and purple. The purple and the green are gonna gray each other out, so I don't want to do that. Mostly I want this dark to be dominant, so I can come over the top with this beautiful green, and it's just going to blend into that. Look at how pretty that is. And when I'm adding it, you see I'm not really getting a lot of water in there. There's water on the paper, and I'm just brushing that in, and because it's thicker, it's not spreading and diluting so much, so I'm liking that. The NIckle yellow is a fun color to add, and I will make that a little bit more fluid, so when you put it in here, it just kind of spreads out. That's what's really fun about that color. Just pushes the other paints away. And you can just keep on playing with this and use your own colors that you have. If you don't have these colors, just play around with what you do have. Again, this is really thick, so when I put it on here, it's just not spreading very far. The water's what makes it spread. Let's get a little of the silver. Clean water to mix that up. Once I put the silver down, anything that I put over the top of it is going to disturb the silver, so you got to keep that in mind too. If you want it to go undisturbed, you're going to need to leave it alone. Saguaro. And NIckle yellow until you're satisfied, you know. The paint is drying, so I'm running out of time to keep adding if it's going to look softened. Not much happened there. Let's get my little splattery brush. And we can let this dry for a little bit. Actually, before I do that, I think just a few of that, and get that. That's going to spread out a little bit and soften. Get it a little closer so I can control where it goes a little bit better. And I'm going to let that dry. We're going to let it dry naturally so the paint has a chance to do what it's meant to do, which is the granulating ones will settle, and then I want these to spread and soften. So I don't want to take a blow dryer to it quite yet, maybe toward the end when it's already worked some of the magic that I can see that it's going to do. It's going to look beautiful. So let's let that dry and come back and see what the next step will be. All right, so this is completely dry, and I decided I want to splatter on, now that it's dry, some Carbazole Violet. I've put more gouache out here as well, so I thought I might mix in, do a little mix and mingle. Carbazole Violet, or dioxazine, I think it's also called, is pretty strong, so I don't need much of that. But I want to do the white part with some shimmer first. Now that it's completely dry, that's going to stand out a little bit more. Lighten up that silver. But also just some plain white. We're going to give it some depth with that. And then coming in, see how beautiful that color is? It's very strong though. You got to be kind of careful with it. I'm just going to, and this is why I protected my paper. And then we're going to need to let that dry as well. So as soon as I get just a tiny touch more white and a tiny touch of this, we will let that dry. Okay, this is dry. So it's time to take off the tape, which is just the really fun part of these types of paintings. So this is going to be peeled away carefully, like you would the tape around the edges. You don't want to rip your paper. So there's one side, and I'm pulling kind of down and away. Gonna get a nice clean edge. And very carefully down and away. And then we're going to keep removing our tape. And that kind of seeped out a little bit, but I could clean it up, but I don't know. Let's just see what happens. I've got this little eradicator brush that might do the trick. Just really work that off of there. That's that NIckle yellow. It's pretty staining though. I don't know if I'll be able to get it all off, but you know what? I'm adding glitter to the top of this, to these lines. So we'll just kind of make it so that's covered up. Okay, so what I didn't do, and I'm going to do now, is add a slanty line here and equal distance, slanty line on this side, keeping it nice and straight. And then I'm going to paint in a little tree trunk with my, actually over here, burnt umber, burnt sienna. And let that dry. Now, time to add some fun to this. It already is fun, but this is a really fun holographic chunky glitter. It's from LeoBro, Laser Gold. It's a lifetime supply, I'm telling you what. And I've got my PVA adhesive, dries clear, it's flexible, it's neutral pH, it's adhesive, or it dries clear, I think I already said that. And I'm going to grab a small round synthetic brush. So we'll use this Blick Scholastic. It's just small enough, and just going to get it a little bit wet so it's more flexible. So I'm just going to get my thick glue and come along in here. I don't want it to dry quick, so I'm putting it on a little bit thick. And then I'm just going to add some fun little swirls. Okay. I've got just an old art media brush, and I'm going to load up my brush with it. Just kind of dip it in there. I want some of those little flakes that are kind of down. Don't be stingy with your glitter. Okay, so now we're going to let that dry and just wait until it's all dry to come back and see what our final results are. Okay, so this should be dry. I can't really see underneath all that, but we're just gonna dump it upside down and tappity tap a little bit. And of course there's gonna be some residual glitteriness, but pretty much we're gonna call that good. Get my vacuum cleaner out. I am completely glittered up. So this is so cute and fun. I just love this so much, and I'll be doing more and sending them out to my special friends and family. Hope you do the same. Get out your paints and whatever colors you love. It doesn't have to be just like this. And slap some color down, put some glue down, and just let the glitter fly. It's really been a lot of fun. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will be listing my supplies in the description below. So take a look at that. And in the meantime, you guys have a great time painting, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.